a lot of people just think that their dogs knows English, and it doesn't. I want to make you very clear: your dog does not speak English. Any word, any sound, any command, anything you want your dog to learn, unless that verbal has been paired with action, your verbal means nothing. Hi, everyone. I'm Matthew Maltese, owner and trainer of Pet to Pal Dog Training, and this is a Pet to Pal podcast. Today, my guest is Lindsay Tupper of Max Canine, originally from Nova Scotia and now in Oil Springs, Ontario.
Yes.
Lindsay, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem. You made the long trek to get into the GTA on a day with no traffic, which is a rarity.
It was so smooth. It was like, yeah.
That's love that for you. It's not always the case around here. But yeah, thanks for being here. We've chatted a little bit on Instagram, but it's nice to finally be able to talk and long form content where we can get into more topics and more detail. And
I love it. I love it.
Awesome. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself, kind of how you got started? I know you started your business, you said in 2008, you started training dogs. And did you have maybe even like a first dog or a moment when you kind of knew you wanted to get into this?
Well, actually, I never really thought about dog training.
Okay.
I thought that I was going to be this horse trainer.
Awesome.
This is my second time moving to Ontario. So when I first graduated from high school, I went and worked at Winfield Stables. So that's in Oshawa. It's no longer there, and training horses there for Woodbine.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So I never really, I thought that was going to be what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life. And then after that, I moved to Alberta, and I started training like backyard horses, and I started working for this dog behaviorist that had these horses that he wanted trained up. And he just like, yeah, you really shouldn't be training horses. You should be training dogs. I'm like, dogs are easy. Like we always had the most obedient dog.
Yeah, I guess going from 1,000-pound animal to an 80-pound animal is.
But little did I know they're not. So after that, I started working for PetSmart, and then I got they gave me some education there, and then I went further and did my dog psychology and all that stuff.
Awesome.
And I kind of went into dog training, and put horse training on the back burner.
Is there a lot of overlap you find there between the horse training and the dog training?
Oh, absolutely. When I talk to people that have horses and they want their dog trained, they're like, oh my God, I know so much about dog training that I never really realized. Like, when a horse is acting up, like we don't put it in a stall and ignore it. We address the issue right then, right? Yep. Same what we should with dogs. Yep. And then pressure to release, like how we, teach dogs to retreat back from pressure of the leash. It's exactly like reins on a horse.
That makes sense. And I think even like martingales and stuff originated from horses, right?
Absolutely. So many things connect, and when people realize that, I think it makes their mind blown.
And I think a lot of training, whether any animal, I mean, you could clicker train a pig or a chicken, or even like humans. Think of all the ways we're conditioned that your phone notification means check your phone. Red light, stop. Green light, go. You're in school. That the bell means go to lunch, go to recess, go to second period, right? So I think if you know the psychology, you can apply that conditioning to any animal. It's just, how you apply it. But I would imagine there's a lot of overlap there.
There is. I guess, a dog's a predator and a horse is prey. And I think that would probably be they're more in fight or flight horses than dogs. But I think that would probably be the only huge difference, which is a big difference, but not at the same time.
And so when you were kind of learning this is when you were in Alberta, correct? Or
Yes.
And then when did you make your move to Nova Scotia?
When I got homesick.
Okay. All right. Fair. That's a fair answer. Yeah.
So I went back home. And me and my ex-husband, we bought this 73-acre farm. Wow. And it had this huge garage. And I started really getting into dog training then. When I first got back to Nova Scotia, I was a nurse's aide and doing dog training part-time.
Okay.
So it wasn't until 7 years ago that I was a full-time dog trainer.
And what made you kind of make that leap to go, you know what, I can do this full-time and I want to do this full-time? And
I wanted to go full-time from the very beginning.
Okay.
It was my ex-husband being like, you're an entrepreneur. You don't know if you don't know. So he's he's the one. He's my ex-husband, or he's the one that didn't
Yeah.
allow me to do it full time.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad it kind of worked out that, clearly you made the right choice. And I think we were just talking, you were mentioning that you're booked up for the next 3 months. So if anyone wants Max Canine Services, reach out early because it is pretty booked.
Yeah, no.
But no, clearly I'm sure that's validating to know and feel like you made the right choice, looking at how the business has grown and how, successful it's become.
Yeah, no, I'm really fortunate. I can't believe that I get to do this for a living.
That's awesome.
Right? Like, it's so awesome. And I feel like our job is really like impacts people's lives. Like, dogs are huge. Like, when you have a dog, they're either, hindering your life or you're able to, go to many places with your dog.
Totally.
So
I think, a lot of people work jobs that they have to work, and that's that, right? I need to put food on the table and support my family. And, I think the amount of people that find a job or a career that A, they like, B, they're good at, and C, you feel like you're genuinely making a difference in people's lives is few and far between. So I think anyone that can kind of find that, that's success in this day and age in terms of careers, right? So
yeah, no,
that's awesome.
I know it feels good. It feels so good. I feel so grateful to be able to do this. Yeah.
And so how did your business have to change or pivot, going from running it in Nova Scotia to now coming to Ontario? I'm sure that's kind of a scary leap to, it's kind of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And now here you are kind of starting all over again, starting fresh. Like, how did that jump go?
I think that I always loved being like a pioneer. Like, I loved building my business back home, right? And then coming here, it's like, oh, I get to do that again. It was very scary. Like, before coming here, I would do like ads on Facebook to be like, hey, I'm coming to Ontario. But I think that I'm kind of like my training, and I've only been there since November, but I feel like my training's kind of new in that area. Like, there's a lot of, all positive trainers in the area. So I feel like I had to like explain myself more, and when people realize that I, really talk about the mindset more than obedience and stuff, and how that helps them in their everyday life with their dog, I think that kind of opened up their eyes. And then, like, the last little bit with people has just been word of mouth.
That's awesome.
Right. I think that it's really showing how much I love my business and what I love to do.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So I feel like that's how I got lucky.
Do you consider yourself a balance trainer? Like, is that kind of the...
I feel like I'm a soft balance trainer.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like that's how I would like to describe myself.
More like Lima practicing.
Yeah. Like, I mean, when I have board and trains, like, I definitely run a tight ship in the house.
Sure.
Because, balance is important.
Yep.
If you're going to have multiple dogs in a household, there has to be some law and order.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
or people are going to get hurt. Right?
For sure.
But yeah.
So you mentioned kind of the focus on building the right state of mind versus necessarily obedience. How do you kind of go about that? And what kind of role do you think, like, for instance, working your dog through stress or confidence building or, socialization? Like, what kind of role do you think that those things play in building the right state of mind for a puppy or a dog in general?
My dog?
Yeah, any dog. Yeah.
I think state of mind's huge. Like, I think we run into, like, I want my dog to, like, be at a heel and come back every time. But if there's no respect for the owner, the dog's not going to want to do that.
Yeah.
So I think we need to think about getting the respect first and then adding on obedience.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And, respect is done by, going back to being their parent versus their best friend.
Yeah.
Which we tend not to do often with dogs now.
Yep.
We're going right to, letting them sleep with us, letting us be on the couch, letting them have a free-for-all of the house, and then, okay, now you need to go outside and heel.
Yeah.
Yep. It doesn't work.
And I think, and maybe this is something that the social media age has, enhanced as well, as I think people think of training specifically as active training, right?
Yeah.
Like tricks and obedience and moving and doing stuff versus like passive training, teaching your dog to be calm, teaching neutrality, teaching, things like that, right? So I think, people kind of jump right to the obedience without necessarily building that foundational stuff of state of mind, respect, leadership, all that kind of stuff first.
Yeah, which is so important. And I really try to bring that to light with everyone I work with. And and within a couple weeks, like, people see it. They're like, "Oh my gosh." And then when people tell me, they're like, "This makes so much sense." You
Yeah.
know, like,
A lot of it
I know this. And
does seem like common sense, I think, but
yeah,
I'm sure
I
some
get that
people
response a lot. They're like, I do this with my kids. Like, I should have done this with my dog. But when they have really sweet eyes and they're hairy, have a weakness for them.
That's true. I've had a lot of clients tell me, are you a parent? You'd probably be a good parent. I don't have any kids yet, but hopefully
I
that'd be
talk like I do. I'm
yeah.
like,
And again, we talk about horses to dogs. I'm sure it's not the exact same, obviously, but I'm sure there's a lot of overlap between, if you let your kids get away with everything, you're probably going to let your dog get away with everything, right? Like, I think that's not
yeah.
that's not a crazy leap to make, right?
Absolutely. Like, I can see, like, when people come to me for in-person training, um, and they have a bunch of kids and they're running around being chaotic,
Yep.
versus the parents that come and their kids are listening and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah. Like, you're gonna listen to this and you're going to use everything I say and do it. Versus,
Absolutely.
So yeah, you can tell what kind of
Yeah.
dog parent they're going to be by.
And so since starting in 2008, you said you did PetSmart and stuff first. How do you feel like maybe your training philosophy has changed over the years?
So I was really positive when I first started. Really positive. I think I was positive for probably 6 years. And purely positive, like, through retreats and everything. And I think that I was letting my dogs down. My dogs first, and then I felt like I was letting other people's dogs down,
Gotcha.
right? And then when some people were like, if this doesn't help, I'm going to have to put my dog down. And I mean, if love could cure everything, we wouldn't have behavior issues, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Like, I think that I should have a balance. I don't do this with horses.
Sure.
Like, we shouldn't do it with dogs,
Yeah.
right? They need to know it's up to us to teach them what's right and what's wrong. Like, we are taking them away from their natural mother at 8 weeks.
Yeah. You need to be parental,
Yes.
not best friend. And not to say your dog can't be your best friend, but that comes later.
That comes
right?
later.
That comes once that respect and foundation has been built, then you
Yeah.
get more of that friendship, sort of partner
Right.
relationship, right? Once that's been established.
Right.
And I think you made a good point. Like, most people don't have a love problem, right? Nobody,
I never
most of the clients we're
it.
going to are, it's like, oh, you're not loving your dog enough,
You
right?
never say that.
No,
they
but
got that in the bag.
yeah, most people have a leadership
Yeah. So
issue.
absolutely. I feel like we don't want our dogs to hate us. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they will love you more.
100%.
And
It's
they will-
healthy for them. They want you to establish clear boundaries, expectations, right? Like, especially when we look at the epidemic of the amount of anxious dogs now,
Oh
whatever,
my gosh, yes.
and how much of anxiety is just lack of structure, lack of
Oh.
expectations, right? When your dog knows what they're supposed to be doing, what you want them to do, what's going to get them rewarded, what you're expecting from them, it makes their thought process so much easier, simpler. You streamline the process for them.
Absolutely.
Rather than them having to figure out, am I supposed to do this? Am I supposed to do that? What does mom want? What is that? Right? When they know, oh, when this happens, I do that. When that happens, I do this, right? It makes their life so much more predictable and easier for them.
Yeah, it takes the question mark
Yeah.
right out of it.
Totally.
And then that question mark equals anxiety if it's present in their life. And then usually if their life isn't structured, they're going to resort to,
Unwanted behaviors. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, well, shoot, what else am I supposed to do with my time, right? There's a window here. There's people walking by. I'm just going to spend my day on the couch.
Totally.
being
And
a guard dog.
I think people, maybe the average owner, struggles with like what we mean as trainers when we say your dog needs more structure, your dog needs a job, your dog needs.
Yeah, it's easy to say that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
And
to explain it is where it needs to
how would you kind of break that down for someone maybe feeling like, well, what kind of structure should I implement with my dog?
Yeah, so one of the things like I first like to do, especially when when dogs come to me for the first day, it's very much a decompression day. I'm not asking a lot of them like the first day. I want them to know that they can trust me and that they're safe here. And I do that by putting rules and limitations and boundaries in the household first.
Yep.
They're after outside time, they have a low.
Yeah.
So that's that structure. And then when dogs realize, oh, I need to go in my crate or on place when I come inside, they go right to that.
Yeah.
Like when dogs, after a few days of being with me, they're like, I know what you wanted me. I'm going to go do it. And they feel good about it.
Yeah.
Like, I know it. I don't know if it's a little bit saucy when they're not even being asked to do it and they're just going, but they're like, I know what you wanted me, lady. I'm just going to go do it.
Yeah.
And then waiting at thresholds, having rooms that they can't go into.
Yep.
And of course, like shutting down on behaviors like excess barking and jumping. That's the main things that I do within the first 2 days, and it just sets the tone.
Well, I was going to ask, like, what do you feel like are the main issues that most owners are struggling with, that most owners kind of come to you wanting help with?
Reactiveness.
Reactive. Yeah, that's a big one.
So that's a mixed
Yep.
bag, eh? Like
Yeah.
reactiveness is huge, especially like leash reactiveness.
Yep.
Like there needs to be leadership present
Totally.
because a dog's not going to follow someone that doesn't have
Yeah.
leadership qualities or guardian
Yep.
qualities. So there's that psychological component, and then we have to teach them what we want. It's there's so many components to heal. You don't even
100%.
think about it.
There's a lot of little moving parts, right? And I think people struggle maybe breaking down those behaviors. And, how many times we'll go to house, like, my dog pulls or my dog does this or that. Like, I need it to stop. Okay. And that's great. And I say, well, we're going to start inside. And well,
Yes.
but why? My dog pulls on walks. I want to work on walking. And I'm like, I get that. But pulling on walks is just your dog lacking clear expectations and structure, lacking impulse control, lacking, maybe just being demanding, being pushy.
Yep.
Right. So let's look at the other ways your dog is pushy: not having thresholds, jumping on you and getting reinforced for that. Not asking for things, just, barking at you when they want something. So if you can't address those first, the walking, yeah, we can work on it, but like, you got to
It's not
address
going to happen.
all the smaller ways. If your dog's allowed to be pushy in 9 other ways, but you want this one way to stop, probably
Very
not going to happen, right?
Very
Like,
true.
you got to address all the little ways that behavior is manifesting to affect the big ways,
Yeah.
right?
And I love that you said, like, let's go back to the house. I tell everyone, like, your relationship with your dog starts inside the house and translates out.
Yeah,
So if it's a free-for-all inside, it's going to be a free-for-all outside.
totally. And, and we talk about like the 3Ds and all this
yeah.
kind of stuff. And if your dog can't concentrate in the house with no distractions, well, of course they're not going to do it outside with squirrels and dogs and balls and kids and whatever, right? So, until we build a little bit of engagement, we know that your dog can concentrate and can do the things we need them to do. There's no point throwing them in the deep end like that, because we haven't set them up for success yet. Right. We will do that at some point, obviously, but kind of like you were saying with your decompression period with your dogs for board and trains, I kind of feel the same, whether it's a board and train or a private session, especially for dog, it's more on the fearful side. I try not to give many corrections the first lesson or two, right? Because until we've built that rapport and the dog is receptive to my information, me just walking in and going, no, bad, stop. And the dog's like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
So I think, once we have a little bit of that rapport and we have that relationship, now I can tell them, hey, this is what I want. This is what I don't want. And they're going to be willing to play my game, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, I think, to just walk in and correct, again, there's anomalies. There's times where you're dealing with an aggressive or dangerous behavior. You have to use defensive handling. Sure, there's times where you have to just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But in general, I really try to build that rapport before even getting into that, right?
Yeah.
Because if the dog doesn't know what you want and you're correcting it, you haven't given it the expectation. So it's not its fault if it's not meeting it, right?
Right.
Which I think, people just want instant results, and
I know.
it's not really what dog training is.
It's not. And it's really forever. Like, you're either training your dog or you're not.
100%.
And it's kind of hard for some people to realize that, right? Like, lazy days like set you back sometimes if you're not consistent.
Yep.
I mean, I'm guilty of that. Like,
For sure.
like-
I think we all, have our moments. Like, nobody's on 100% of the time.
Right.
But yeah, I think even to your point, like reactivity is a tough one, because it looks like barking.
Oh, it's
but-
such a mixed bag of things.
Yeah.
And then like, what is it? Like,
Is it aggression? Is it fear reactivity? Is it resource guarding the owner? Is it
control? Have you spent too much time at doggy daycare? Like,
exactly?
what is it?
Yeah. So that one behavior that maybe the owner is seeing of like, oh, my dog barks. Okay, that's great, but barking, I was
a relationship issue.
Yes, that too, 100%. And I try to tell people, like, barking is a symptom of something.
Exactly.
Right? You don't want to necessarily address the symptom, and that's why I don't really like bark collars and stuff, right?
No, because it's going to translate somewhere else.
It's going to boil over in some way, right? Like, how many? I said this example of clients, but how many times do I go to a house where it's like, I run a business for my house and I ship packages all day, and my dog barks at every delivery man, and I need that to stop. And it's like, okay, sure, you can put on a bark collar and tug on them and no barking, and the barking might stop. But that's where the negative association aspect comes in. And your dog's thinking, okay, I was already nervous maybe of guests. Now people come over, I get this negative feelings.
And
You know what?
I get that
Now,
stress.
fuck this. Now I hate guests that come over.
Yeah.
Right? So you've
It's
stopped one behavior, the barking, and you created a worse one.
yeah, you
And I
gotta
think that's where the positive only crowd, kind of goes to say corrections are bad. Well, you're going to build a negative, association. And there is that risk, but that's why I think the timing of your correction is important. I think the dog understanding what exactly is being corrected, right? Because again, barking can be the source of excitement, demanding, nervous, fearful, aggressive, right? Our dogs bark for a lot of reasons. Each one of those has a different solution,
Mhm.
right? It's like if you have a cough, you could have pneumonia, you could have bronchitis, you could have strep throat, you could have a cold, you could have COVID.
Yeah.
Each one of those has a different antibiotic maybe, right? So
Yeah.
you got to address the root cause, not the symptom. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just want to address the symptom because that's what they see and that's what they understand. But dive, take a layer off and go underneath there.
And that's where I like mindset over obedience. Like I want to
Yes.
address the mindset
100%.
before we start any corrections
Yeah.
because if your dog's, looking outside all day waiting for these delivery car drivers to come, like they're feeding into that behavior. Like they're perfecting it.
Yep. They're practicing it all day long.
And
Right?
they're going to be awesome at it.
Yes, 100%.
So like maybe that's
Yeah.
there's so many reasons.
If you don't change the mindset, you're not going to get long lasting change in the
No.
in the behavior,
No.
right? And yeah.
And it's so easy for people to do. It's just change is so hard, right?
Yes. Yep.
It's so like there's simple little changes, but we're all creatures of habit. So we're
Yep.
like,
And it could be anything, but I think you're right. A lot of people want the dog to integrate into their lifestyle seamlessly and they don't want to adjust, right? Like,
no.
okay, we could teach your dog go to place when the doorbell rings. And,
Yeah.
well, but I don't want a bed in my foyer. And I'm like, and I get it, but like, what's more important to you?
Yes.
Not having a bed here or making this
Yes.
behavior stop? You know what I
Yes,
mean? Like,
exactly.
pick your poison, right? So I think there has to be a little bit of that give and take where people are willing to adjust their not only lifestyle, but how they interact with their dog, right? And this is where we talk about like, training isn't just a formal obedience training session. Training is every interaction with your dog, right? It's how you go about dealing with them on a daily basis,
Yep.
right? If you allow them even subconsciously to do XYZ behavior 90% of the time, but then during your training session, you want them to listen,
Yeah.
probably not going to happen.
Not gonna
right?
happen.
So you need to be, I always say, you need to be consistent with your standards if you want your dog to be consistent with their results.
Yeah. No,
Right?
I like that. I like that a lot. And I find that that's probably my biggest struggle is consistency and getting people to be consistent. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's hard. I usually tell people like when I go to someone's house and we're doing it and we're talking about the mindset, not obedience, just the mindset. I usually tell people if they're consistent and they follow through with the program that they could see results in, 3 weeks. And usually that's my
Yeah,
because there's a week of, testing.
sure.
A week of like, is this going to be it? Like, is this going to be how I can't go on the coach anymore?
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. And
Yep.
then usually within the third week, they start to refine themselves and they become more balanced and neutral.
And I think I could be wrong on the stat, but wasn't it like, I don't remember, maybe it might have been for smoking, but wasn't there that stat like where it takes 21 days to change a habit or build a new habit or something, right?
That's kind of why this is what I tell people. So I was under the understanding that it takes them 3 months to kick something.
Gotcha.
But to jumpstart it, it takes 21 days.
Okay.
And that's why I do the 21-day program.
That makes sense.
Because it's a week of like, I was able to do this before, like what's going on here.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit but yeah, usually within 3 weeks I can, reset things and get them into a more, and that's my main goal, just
sure.
neutral, just for them to be neutral.
For sure. And I think that's what most people want is just a dog that just really isn't a chore to have. They just want a dog that, is a good lifestyle pet for the average person, right? If you're doing dog sports or whatever, it's a separate thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think the average person just wants a pet that's not a chore, doesn't pull their arm off, isn't
Yep.
a nuisance when guests come over. They can take them to a patio if they want. Like, just having a good lifestyle companion, right?
Yeah, it takes work. I mean,
It does.
sometimes like people luck out, but usually it takes work.
Totally. Yeah, 100%. And that's something I've found as well is, again, the average person wants kind of that good pet dog, right?
Right.
That's where their standards are. That's where they set their bar, their expectations, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
Totally great. And I think it's almost like, if you go to the gym that first month or two at the gym, it's not easy, but you see the most results, right? You're going to lose your water weight. You're going to drop 30 pounds, whatever. But that last 5 or 10 pounds is always the hardest, right?
Right.
So I think for the average dog to go from like unruly to kind of like a good pet dog, to go that first 70 or 80%, again, it's not easy, but it's doable for the average person in a decent time frame. To go from like good pet dog to dog doing a fancy, focused heel or whatever, that last 10%, I think is maybe takes more time than the original 80%.
Oh,
and I think most people's standards are just like, I don't really care for my dog to prance next to me. I just want them not to pull my shoulder out.
Right.
So it's kind of balancing our expectations as a trainer. And like, sometimes I'll go to a dog like, oh, this dog has good drive. It's very motivated. Like, it can do great things, but the owners just kind of have a plateau and that's fine. So it's managing what I think the dog can do versus like what they want their well-trained dog to be for them. Right. Which can be difficult, but
it can be difficult, especially when you see like how much, how what they could be capable of, like that dog.
Yeah.
I feel that a lot sometimes. I'm like, I can make you awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of, I think you said your dog is Onyx, right?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Onyx?
Oh, Onyx. Onyx. So when I started doing my board and trains 7 years ago, I guess it was probably 6 years ago, I trained Onyx's brother from the litter before him.
Nice.
So Onyx wasn't born yet. And I fell in love with this dog, this pointer. I was like, his name was Bo. He was beautiful. He was a little bit rangy. But anyway, he came for a board and train and mainly for separation anxiety.
Gotcha.
And I know now why. But anyway, I fell in love with the dog, contacted the breeder, and I was like, next time you have a litter, like, I want one. Because I've always had labs, so I kind of love the sporting line. But this guy, they're agile, they're smart, they're goofy, they're gentle. Like they have so many good qualities about them. So yeah, I contacted the breeder. Breeder's like, actually, the mother is pregnant and she's going to be due in 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, I was thinking like a year. So anyway, along came Onyx, and I made some mistakes with him. Like they're Velcro dogs.
Yep. And
they really need a sense of self and confidence at a young age, because if not, they whine all the time. So yeah. So I got him independent really young. Like, he slept in my room for a little bit, and then I brought him into the living room, and he slept there at night and periodically throughout the day. So I tried to get him to have a good sense of self, because I seen that with with his brother. Like, they were asleep with him. They were they were on the couch with him, and then they would go to work and he'd be like, I don't know what to do with myself. I have no sense of self. So I thought that'd be really important to instill in Onyx, because I've seen it before. But
I think some breeds are more even predispositioned to being more nervy and more, like, honestly, I've seen a lot of like Vizslas that are very like nervy.
Yeah.
There's certain breeds that I think are more prone to having some of those behaviors, right?
Yeah. I just think that they just want warmth. Like he's a heat hound. Like, I think that's why they want
Okay.
because they're so skinny and have no fat. But yeah, no, he's a great boy. He's 4 years old, and we spent a serious 4 years training, and now I'm giving him a little bit more freedom and in the house and what.
And he's earned it at this point.
Pardon me?
He's earned it at this point.
Yeah, I think so. And he's become a really good coworker. Like,
nice.
I couldn't ask for a more neutral dog. Like, I don't think I've ever heard him growl.
Well, they say the best trainer is a balanced dog, right? That and even, maybe let's talk about that a little bit. What do you think the role of social learning is for dogs, whether good or bad, right? And maybe that's why, we talk about not going to dog parks or daycares, or having dogs that are well-mannered, have a good state of mind to like help out your puppy or help out your dog.
So Mika, my dog, she passed away 2 years ago. She was 14. She was a wonderful, a balanced adult dog. I would put a puppy in front of her. She would handle it. Like, she was so appropriate too.
Nice.
Better than what I could ever do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, they speak each other's language, right? Like
right?
we're doing our best to
Yes.
bridge that gap, but nothing like a balanced dog that knows the rules, knows the boundaries, be like, "Hey kid, we don't do that." You know what I mean? Like, or like, "Yeah, we can do it like this."
So I love young dogs being around adult balanced
Yep.
dogs. I
Yep.
think that's beautiful. If that
Totally.
can happen with someone and getting a puppy, like, and you have a friend that has a balanced adult dog, not just grumpy,
Yep. Yeah.
just balanced. Like,
And on the flip side, pick your dog's friends wisely,
oh my
right? Because
gosh,
that
yes.
can just as easily go the other way.
Oh my God, absolutely. I've like a lot of people like, come on over, bring your dog. Let's shove him in the backyard. I'm like, that's the worst way to meet.
Yeah. So how would you kind of go about introducing two dogs to each other?
I do everything through movement. Well, of course, it's coexisting in the house first. So they're kenneled together. They have to do place, in the same room without meeting. Like I like to, I like to go that approach where they're able to coexist.
Mhm.
So if they're able to coexist, then there's no like side eyes or grumpy, you know what I mean?
Yep.
You can
Yep.
kind of tell with those
Sure.
moments of how, a dog, not always.
Yep.
Some dogs are opportunists. I'm like, oh, I'm really close to you.
Yeah.
I'm not really close to you now. I'm gonna, do
Take my chance. Yeah.
yeah. But I like to do like if I were to let dogs meet, I love going for a parallel walk.
Yeah. Like a nice neutrality walk. Just get used to, okay, you're kind of in my space. I'm kind of in your space, but we're not interacting.
But
You're not a threat to me.
We're on
And
the same mission. We're
it
walking
builds a little bit of
together.
that pack mentality a little bit right off the bat. Right. So yeah, I kind of do the same sort of thing. Yep.
And then after that, like if things are going well, then maybe I always keep the leashes on.
Mhm.
I'm by myself a lot.
Yep.
Yep. Leashes are great tools.
Yep, 100%.
If you need to separate, but when they're able to meet, I still keep a tight rein on that, meaning like I don't let them smell each other longer than 3 seconds.
Sure. Yep.
3 seconds, shit happens.
Yep. Yeah. Things escalate and
Yeah, like it gets rude, and dogs get their back up. They're like, "Oh, why are you smelling? Like, what do I smell like? Do I smell like insecurity? and then they get insecure if they're being smelt too long.
Yep.
So I keep it to 3 seconds, and then when you're kind of like the referee and you're like, "Hey, that's not allowed," and then they're like, "Okay, like that's just play," type of thing.
Yeah.
So it kind of like speeds things up a little bit when I am refereeing. They neutralize a lot quicker.
Totally.
But I'm a big fan of using the educator for meetings.
Okay. Yep.
A nice extent, so the e-collar.
Yep.
A nice extension of my hand, so I can give them little bumps to be like, "Oh no, that's too much smelling. No, that's a little bit too much." Like on their back, like you need to fluctuate and be high and low a little bit more than just hanging out on the other dog's shoulders.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah. So and when dogs come for board and trains, they really don't meet until like day 5.
Yep.
If they're going to meet.
Especially, I'm assuming, especially for board and trains, typically they're there for a reason, right?
Right.
So it's not like, we got 2 puppies and okay, let's let them figure it out a little bit, right? So yeah, board and trains, obviously you got to be
I have
careful.
people's dogs, and I realize that there's some times that dogs come to me and they just want to better their dogs. Like the last dog I had, Apollo, was a Shiloh Shepherd. I love that dog. Love it.
I saw him in your stories. He was a cutie.
He's so cute. And
fluffy.
So, like, he's going to be a therapy or a service dog. Like he came to me for service dog prep. And yeah, I just like, you're meant to do this, man. Like you're going to go far. You're so neutral and you're so loyal, and like nothing else mattered in the world except for me. And I was like, oh my God, you're perfect. But anyway, yeah, you have dogs like that. I'm like, I just have to fine tune you. Like,
yeah.
It was such a nice treat.
That's awesome. Yeah. When you get one like that, where it's like, you're doing a little facelift, not a complete remodel,
like yeah. No, it was great. It was really great. Like he did need some like a little bit more patience, but no, it was awesome. So like sometimes but yeah, mostly they're there for an issue. Most of the dogs that come to me are very insecure.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a big one these days, fear reactivity, or again, even separation anxiety. I noticed it with all the COVID dogs, right? Because they never had alone time, they never got exposure, they never got, any of that. Then now they're kind of nervous messes.
Yeah.
So that's a big one.
My last dog that came, so I had Apollo, and then I had Chester, which was a golden doodle, and he was a product of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And this is his second time coming to me.
Okay.
Because he was just his life needs to be more structured than it was, and I think the owners need to remind you of that. It wasn't so much like the reactiveness. He's like,
Gotcha.
He's a smart dog. Like,
yeah.
he needs to know that you're in control, or he's gonna feel like he has to,
Yep.
run his own life. So it was like a little gentle reminder, and he needed a refresher, but yeah, yeah, yeah. So mostly, yeah, dogs are coming for, yeah,
Which makes
insecurity.
sense. And I know you were mentioning you had, when you were in Nova Scotia, you had a facility, and now you're kind of doing it from your home.
Yes.
And I know you were saying you probably wouldn't do the facility thing again.
Yeah, no, it was crazy
What were
back
like the
then.
biggest challenges, or maybe what advice would you have for a trainer looking to get a facility, or maybe somebody that just got a facility and is like kind of jumping into that ring a little bit?
Okay, well, that's you know what? Like, I think a love for it needs to be there because, like, you're waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like,
Yeah.
I did way too much too soon. Like, I did board and trains, I did doggy daycare, I did in-person training sessions. Like, I was crazy, and I don't understand. So, a love for it and good employees.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you're only as good as the team around you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that makes sense.
yeah. If you're gonna go that large,
Totally.
it would you need help, and I kind of was like, I don't need help, but then I was getting burnt out.
Yeah. How do you, I was gonna actually gonna be my next question is, obviously our job can be very demanding, very socially draining. How do you avoid burnout? Because I know burnout is a big thing in, trainers, groomers, like just,
Yeah.
people in the pet industry.
So, I stopped giving out my phone number.
Okay, that's a good one.
7 years ago, like, I was, teaching all day, and then I was coming home, and I was on the phone answering these calls that came throughout the day while I was
Mhm.
busy, and it was, like, it was 10 o'clock at night, and I didn't do any house work. I didn't like, I was answering phone calls for 3 hours, and then everyone wants all their answer they want their dog trained within that phone call.
Yeah.
So I
There's a
was
lot of that, yeah.
So I just made a decision to not, give out my phone number and just do everything through Messenger and email. And I probably lost a lot of customers that way because it's easy, but I just needed to do something for balance. And I thought that would be the best thing. Like,
Yeah.
because
Because as cheesy as it is, if you don't fill your cup first, then you can't help anyone else, right? So,
right, right.
the clients you lost, if your bucket was on empty, then you wouldn't have been able to help them anyways, right?
Exactly.
So I think,
Exactly.
yeah, you got to kind of,
So yeah, and a lot of people like, and I understand, especially like, coming to Ontario, like it wasn't so much word of mouth anymore.
sure.
Right. So people are like, well, who are you? So I did have to get on the phone for
Fair.
that. Right. Like
That's fair. Yeah.
which but it's okay. Like it's not as crazy as it was.
Which is
What I-
good. You found that middle ground.
yeah, where I wasn't like responding
Nice.
for 3 hours. But yeah, not giving out my number was a big thing. And like having days off where you completely know, like there's no dogs, just you and your family, you and your friends, and
Yep.
you're camping or whatnot. Getting out of that realm for a couple days was a nice reason.
That's
Coming
important.
back.
For sure. You need that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still working on that. I'm not great at
It's
it.
hard, eh? It's hard
Yeah.
to say no in this profession.
It is. It
It's for
is.
me anyway.
Yeah.
Like
I'm the
I
same way.
wanted to make it work. Like I try everything probably too much to make things work for clients. But yeah, it's hard to say no because you want to help them all. But I realize that you can't.
Unfortunately, this is true.
Yeah.
So obviously starting in 2008, you've been doing this, quite a while now. How have you seen maybe the industry change over that time?
Oh my gosh, the last 10 years, I've seen such a huge change. Like when I first started, it was mostly obedience.
Mhm.
It was everyone wanted obedience. But in the last 10 years, like there's been a huge rise in behavior issues.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
I'm like obedience is way down on the list now.
Yeah, it's true. And I wonder what's, I'm sure there's a lot of factors contributing to that, but I wonder what is affecting the rise in behavioral issues
You
in
think it's like
dogs.
a soft society? Like
Probably. I think that's probably a factor of it for sure.
I think that we
Um,
probably, lost our ability to say no to dogs as well as children maybe as
yeah,
well. Like I feel like they both kind of went hand in hand with
yeah,
the rise of behaviors.
100%. And I think that goes back to like, the positive only kind of gentle parenting,
Yeah, yeah.
style. And, I know we touched on it earlier. You mentioned the e-collar and we talked about corrections, but what do you feel the importance of, being able to correct unwanted behaviors and, use aversives when necessary? Like what role do you think that plays in having a well-trained dog?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's up to us to teach them what's right and what's wrong. And they're not going to learn what's wrong by us, putting them in a crate, ignoring that behavior. Like it
Yep.
needs to be addressed head on. And I think that I feel like it's only fair to them for us to show them.
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
think that if we're going to take them away from their mother, it's up to us to show them. So I'm a huge fan of correcting appropriately
Yep.
within a timely manner. Corrections that have gone, like if you're correcting, 5 minutes after the behavior, that's
Too late.
that's abuse almost.
Yeah, and
right?
that's where we were talking about, like, I was saying the timing of the correction. The same way, like, your marker timing, your clicker timing is important to mark the moment your dog does something good.
Yeah.
Same thing with the correction. If you correct too early or too late, that's where your dog gets, like, a blurry picture. And like, okay, what was going on? Why did I get that? What happened? So I think corrections are very helpful and important, but I want to stress to people watching that the timing of that needs to be immediate and it needs to be sharp for your dog to get a very clear picture.
So I read somewhere that some scientists say that we need to correct within a second and a half, but geez, we can't be that fast as people.
Yeah.
So I always say within 3 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think corrections are maybe a little tougher because if you have an e-collar, fine, you can do that quickly, push a button, done.
But what is a correction, right?
What is a correction? Anything the dog finds discouraging, right? Anything that's going to limit the chances of that behavior repeating again.
Right. Yeah. Dogs.
Right?
Yeah. They work through the law of effect, don't they?
For sure.
They repeat a behavior based on the repercussions when the last acted it out. So you kind of want to make it suck, but not cause any pain.
Yes. Right. Just
over just
unpleasant enough. They're like, oh, you know what? I didn't love that. I don't think I want to do that again.
Like with puppies, I love to do little pokes in the flank area or little leash pops.
Yep.
I mean, they're over within a second. They're appropriate and they understand them.
Yeah. And I think kind of where I was going with that a little bit is, I was always taught that, like with the clicker, for example, right?
Yes.
As long as your marker timing is sharp, your reward can come a couple seconds later because the marker is the information, right? The marker tells them, yes, whatever you just did, beautiful.
Yeah.
Now you're going to get this reward because of that. So even if your reward comes 3, 5, 10 seconds, you don't want to push it too long, but even if your reward comes a few seconds later, that's okay as long as the marker timing was sharp.
Exactly.
Versus like a correction, maybe unless you're using a no reward marker, which fine, I use those. Some people use those, some people don't. But you don't have that marker that comes before the correction as much. It's just correction or no correction, right? Versus like the reward has the marker that comes before it.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm kind of explaining that well.
I like to, whenever I do a correction, I always like to do the marker word for a bad behavior first. So I'm loading that word.
Exactly.
So eventually I don't have to use the correction.
Totally.
So I like to use the word hey, but I make it more like a sound. And then right after they're kind of married to each other for a couple of weeks, the hey, and then, a pop or
exactly.
what. And then that can fade. Sometimes, in a couple of months down the road, you might have to bring it back. Sure. But at least they know what that marker word for a bad behavior means.
Exactly. The same way you would charge up your positive markers, you have to also charge up your no or your no reward marker as well. And
we don't tend to do the no.
No, I think there's a lot of people who just think that their dogs knows English, and it doesn't. I want to make it very clear: your dog does not speak English. Any word, any sound, any command, anything you want your dog to learn, unless that verbal has been paired with action, your verbal means nothing. So I want to make that very clear for everyone listening and watching that you have to charge up all sounds, cues, commands, whatever you want your dog to learn.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's and they're repeating too. They don't.
Yes.
Yep. They can hear you.
Yeah.
They can
exactly.
hear you. I think they were really quick. When I'm looking at people and they're training their dogs and the person says down and then they say down again. I'm like, that dog didn't even have a chance to lay down.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're like that. We don't see that with each other, but we do it with dogs.
I think there is, that's a good point. And I think there is a little bit of people associate a delayed response, delay with disobedience.
I guess,
right?
They're not, okay.
Yeah. And it's maybe your dog was processing. Maybe they don't fully, again, maybe your command's not charged up. They're not sure really what you're asking. Right? Delayed doesn't necessarily mean, it can, but it doesn't necessarily mean disobedience. It just means your dog was processing and, took a second to kind of get there. If it's a command you've practiced a million times and your dog knows it for sure and they're just choosing to blow you off, that's a different thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? But
absolutely. Yeah, when they're I'm a Bernese mountain dog.
I'm going at my own pace.
I'm going to take 10 seconds to do this.
Fair.
And you're going to tell me down 3 times, 4 times before it.
Yes.
I don't know. We're so impatient.
Yeah. That's a big thing.
It's so huge. It's so huge. So I with doing dog training, I took my dog psychology but sometimes I wish that I took more on how to with the people aspect.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I have a hard time, like, like being naggy, I guess.
Mm. Yep.
Like,
Yep.
like,
Yeah, because there is that balance of, and I was talking to another trainer about this where, we as trainers, we have an idea of what this dog needs, what they should do, what a well-trained dog looks like. And then our clients have their own ideas, right? And it's kind of this balance of like trying to the customer service aspect of like giving them what they want, but also like sticking to my principles as a trainer, right? And I remember, and this was a little bit of a controversial topic. We got into a little bit of a not argument, but a back and forth about it. Is like if a client wants to use pee pads, for example,
oh yeah,
right?
I'm.
Uh, yeah, right. Thank you. I think most trainers are cringing right now. And I was kind of talking to this other trainer about it, and I was saying, would I recommend pee pads? No. Would I want my dog to use pee pads? No. But if you're on the 37th floor of a condo and you're not going downstairs every time,
True.
I get it. I'll help you accomplish that. But I am going to explain and educate you on why it's not the best idea, why I wouldn't do it. But if you still really want to do that, then okay, that's what you're paying me to help you do. I'll help you do it, right? But would I recommend it? No, right? So there's that balance of like some trainers like, well, no, if a client isn't willing to go downstairs and take their dog on the grass, and I don't want them as a client. And it's like, I get that.
So you have a more open-minded approach to
I try, but I think that's led me to maybe have some clients that, either don't practice or, so I'm trying to even fine tune like the type of clients that I'm getting, because I want people that are open-minded, willing to try the things that I'm recommending, gonna practice. Right. So I think I've tried to like, I'll help anyone with anything.
That's
and
what
now
I was like too. I'm like,
and now I'm trying to get more of like, well, this is the way that I want to do things. And I'm ideally looking for people that want to kind of do it that way as well.
exactly. Yeah.
Right?
It's hard. I tell people like, you might have to change just as much as the dog, probably.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, it's hard to find. I shouldn't say it's hard. I've been really lucky with clients. I've only had a few that, didn't believe what I did, and that it wasn't a good fit, and they went to someone else. And
that's fair. Yep.
It was fine. But I always stress, especially with board and trains, like you're gonna have to carry this on. Like I jump started things. And you're gonna have to keep on doing it. That's the biggest sell.
It is, and we can get that ball rolling. And what's that? What's in the Olympics where they're like they're sprinting with the baton, right? And then I'm going to hand it off to you. But if you don't continue running with it, well, then we lose the race, right?
Exactly.
Like things don't. Nothing happens, right? So got to keep the momentum going for there to be significant change.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I know you were mentioning, we were talking about corrections, and I think that's a big thing because nobody likes giving a correction. You don't feel good making a dog uncomfortable for a second, but I do feel good knowing that this dog's going to learn not to go in the road or not to put their paws on the stove or whatever. And I think people, again, maybe it's like a parental thing. It's how you would, comfort your kids or whatever, where seeing their dog stressed or uncomfortable is like this terrible thing, right? But when we're talking about confidence building the right state of mind, to do that, you do have to work your dog through some stress, right?
Absolutely.
Stress is not the enemy.
I think one of the most basic things that I teach, and probably one of the most stressful for dogs starting out, is place.
Yep.
Staying in one spot.
Just holding themselves accountable to like, just chill, just relax.
And I find that, within the first couple of days that dogs are with me and they're on place, like they're sitting. I'm not stressing for a down at that time. They're sitting. They're panting. Because their brain's going way faster than their body.
Yep. It's like your car's in park, but you're revving the gas still.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that's what their brain is doing in that moment.
And when I'm like, versus a board and train, I know it's a process. They're going to get over it. They're going to find themselves in a down. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I feel really comfortable here. So I'm going to seek this behavior out all the time. Versus people that are doing that for homework.
Gotcha.
They're like, oh my God, my dog's uncomfortable. He's panting. He's drooling. Like, I'm going to stop this. I'm like, oh, it's just a
push through. No different than if your dog is stressed in the crate at first. Your crate training, they sound like they're getting tortured, and they're not. They're just like, they don't want to be in there, but they're going to learn that it's fine. That's their little.
They need to learn how to self-save but yeah, like I think that we are quick to get them out of those uncomfortable positions. But versus like if we stuck through it and realized that it was a process, they're going to be a better dog on the other side.
Totally.
but it's hard for people to see that if they haven't seen it before.
Yes. Yeah, and maybe to go kind of with that point, like, you know, the fear periods, right? Your fear imprint modes.
Yeah.
First one around 12 weeks. You kind of got your second one more like, people, so the teenager phase.
Yeah, the world's out to get me.
Yep. What do you tend to recommend to your clients in terms of like getting your dog out maybe before they've received all their vaccinations or,
You know what? I feel like socialization, exposure, I shouldn't say, is way more important than vaccines.
Yep.
I would say your first vaccine at 8 weeks.
Yep.
But I feel like that other stuff, like they should get dirty. They should eat the dirt. Like they should like get their immunity built up at that time. They should be taken to different places, not necessarily meet dogs or meet people, but just be in the same vicinity of them, and not have to, meet them is really good, healthy socialization. I think it's huge. Yeah.
That's
exposure over vaccines, hands down.
It's a big one. And I think, I tend to tell people after that second one, for me personally, you can take your dog. Some vets will say, well, no, until they have all their shots. And usually the last one is rabies. And usually that's around 16 weeks.
Yeah.
The problem is your dog gets their second shot around 10 to 12 weeks. And that's when they're in that first fear imprint mode, right? So waiting to that third shot, you've completely missed the first fear imprint mode, right? And you can see it, right? So I think, building, the right state of mind. Again, I'm not, saying there's no risk, but what I am saying is if your dog has at least those first 2 shots and all they need left is rabies, the risk of your dog getting rabies by going on a walk around the block, going to get the mail, taking them to Winners or Home Sense for,
it's very,
your dog's not getting rabies in Winners. Okay. Like you can take your dog out. It's fine. I wouldn't take them to dog parks or trails or, whatever, but if you're just getting them out and letting them just see the world, new sights, new sounds, new smells, for me, the risk of having a dog that becomes very fearful, very codependent, very anxious versus the risk of getting rabies, for me, maybe as a trainer, I'm biased, but that risk is so much higher. And maybe just because I deal with those dogs on a daily basis, for me, I would be getting your dog out in a controlled way for sure.
Yeah. So whatever they endure within the first 6 months of their life will affect them for the rest of their life. And that's huge. That 6 months is really crucial.
Yeah. And there's that, like, again, I think it kind of goes back to what we're saying, where people want to avoid stress rather than work through stress, right? So let's say, for example, how many times we see, at 12 weeks old, we discover, my puppy's scared of the vacuum. No problem. I'll vacuum while one of my other family members walks the dog. And okay, that's great, right? You're managing the environment. The dog doesn't have to deal with the vacuum. But the problem is you can't hide the vacuum for 15 years.
No.
At some point, your dog's going to see that vacuum at 6, 7, 8, 9 months. And now they haven't developed the skills to deal with it. They don't know what to do. So you have a dog that's freaking out at the vacuum.
I get a lot of vacuum fear.
A deal? Interesting.
And sweeping, like.
Yeah.
I get that a lot. So, sorry, dude.
No, that's good. I get a lot of like skateboard, things like this, wheels going by. But
it's funny because like you're in the city, I'm in the country. So there's different kind of like.
That's fair. Different demographic, different issues. Yeah.
Right.
And to that point too, and given where we live, right? We're in Canada.
Yeah.
We have maybe 4.5 months of decent weather, right? Your dog doesn't care that it's winter or it's COVID or when they're in their developmental period, they're in their developmental period. That's it. That's your chance to get them out there.
Yeah.
Right. So, if you get a dog in like right now it's September, mid-September, you have a month and a half until it's dark at 5 o'clock and it's cold and there are no distractions. There are no environmental things that can help you out. Right. And if your dog goes all winter not seeing anything, by next spring, you have an anxious, reactive dog.
Exactly.
Because they never experience anything.
So timing of getting your puppy is crucial.
Yeah, 100%.
It really is. Unless you're going to go out of your norm to socialize it during the winter, which you totally can.
Yeah, you can. It's doable. It's harder. Most people don't want harder.
Yeah.
And you can still take them to Winners in February. That's fine. Yeah. But, you can't take them to the park or, whatever it might be, sitting on a patio or whatever.
Yeah,
I found with Titan, my lab, I got him on Labor Day. And so, again, we had him for fall and I was 15 at the time. And I liked it because it gave me 2 months to get him exposure to things before winter came. And then the benefit of winter was it allowed me to practice and train my obedience outside with minimal to no distractions because nobody else was out there. right? So we worked on our long distance stay. We worked on I'd go out there at 11
took
p.m.
advantage of that. You looked at it the other way.
And then
I
by
like
the
that.
time spring came around, now there was distractions, but my dog was like, hey, I've already been doing it out here
got
for
the
6 months.
foundation down.
Exactly. So now we implemented the 3Ds, right? And we just sharpened it up and we, but I tried to use that to my advantage, right?
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it's environment, timing plays a big role in that kind of stuff. And again, your dog develops when they develop. It doesn't matter, oh, but my kids have, soccer practice and what. Your dog, when they're developing, and that's it.
We can't going to be on hold and bring your dog to soccer practice.
Yes, exactly. If you miss that boat, you miss that boat. So
and there's no going back. It stays with them. It stays with them. So it's really crucial if you're going to get a puppy. Yeah, socialize, exposure, 6 months.
To your point of mindset over obedience, I try to tell people too with puppies when I'm kind of going over this part of our lesson is, not in a cocky way, but I'm sure you feel the same way. We can go to a 5-year-old dog and teach them sit in 5 minutes. That's not hard. What's hard is going to a 5-year-old dog that is fearful and now trying to build confidence.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So if you can prioritize building the right state of mind, the obedience, that's frankly the easy part. That'll come later. Right.
Honestly, like if a dog, like if you're doing all this exposure stuff at an early age, your dog's going to get confident. And really, that's the main source of behaviors is dogs being insecure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're able to build up this healthy,
And I think people misinterpret, like how many times do we maybe hear like, oh, my dog's protective of me. I see it. Exactly. I'm looking many trainers cringing out there right now, but your dog is not protective of you. Your dog is fearful and insecure, and you haven't been a strong leader. And so they're like, I guess I have to handle this.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what I mean about like talking to humans. Like sometimes I'm like, did I sound like a B with an H there? Like, it's like when, especially like that statement, like my dog's protecting at me, and like I just have to swallow and then take a breath and be like,
you got to pick your battles. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, this is what your dog's doing. And then it's kind of like a blow to them when you tell them that.
Yeah.
They're like, are you sure?
And honestly, even like, not different, but same kind of thing. Like when you look at dogs that do bite sports or police dogs or whatever, those dogs, when they are in protection mode, are coming at it from a place of confidence. It's a game for them.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want a dog that's biting from a place of fear. That's a dog that's not reliable, that's not trustworthy, that is reacting out of fight or flight defense mode.
You don't want that in your house.
Not at all, because that's a grenade waiting to go off.
Yeah.
Right? So even if you think your dog's protecting you, and even if they are, it has to be coming from a place of confidence, not a place of fear, insecurity, because that's going to lead to liability and insurance and bites and things
so
that you don't
those protective dogs are confident and they're trained to be protective. They're not,
and they have an off switch.
Yeah.
Right. They know when it's game time and now the game's over.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you think your dog's protective, probably you need some leadership work with your dog.
Yeah. Yeah. And which we don't talk a lot about either, do we? Like leaderships.
I think we used to, and maybe that's one of the changes you said in the last 10 years. I think growing up, I remember the shows that were on were like, Caesar Milan, and a lot of it was like being the leader, being the alpha. And again, alpha dominance theory is what it is. It's,
right.
It's not everything, but it is we kind of think overcorrected where, we don't need any alpha. We don't need any, but there is a little bit of that. Like you need some of that.
And alpha, generally just means like, the mother dog of the, like, they're not this big cranky, like old, like, dog.
I think people hear alpha, they think like
it's their mother,
jacked gym bro, like, but it's not. It's just like leader, maternal, paternal. Damn it, I don't know those.
I think you're right.
I gotta learn those words.
You got me thinking. Now you got me thinking. I'm like, I don't know if I can correct them. And so I never tell people like to be their dog's alpha because alpha means dog and we're not dogs. And I think that dogs know we're not dogs.
I think so too. Yeah. Again, we're doing our best to bridge that gap in communication and communicate in a way that they understand how another dog would correct them or communicate with them. But at the end of the day, they know we're not dogs. And
I tell people like be their guardian. That's what they need.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. I want them to be like, kind of not mimic the mother, but go into that parenting role. Because they ultimately need that.
Yeah.
Now. So that's, I try, I stay away from alpha. And then alpha has these misconceptions about it where it's like doing like the alpha role and stuff. And I'm like, no, that's not.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that come with that word, right?
So I don't tend to use it a lot. Yeah, because people have different ways of viewing it.
For sure. Well, this has been a great chat. I think we covered a lot of interesting topics and things that I think will help the average person. And hopefully, you're finding some good nuggets and tidbits that you can take away in training with your dog and building your relationship with your dog and building the right state of mind. Why don't you kind of tell everyone where they can reach you at? Maybe your Instagram, your websites,
Not
like
my
where
phone number. I'm
not
just
your
kidding.
phone, not your phone number. Save that. But where can people find you or reach out to you? Check out our content.
Okay, awesome. So I'm on Instagram. So Max Canine Training. On Instagram, Facebook, Max Canine Training, and then my website, maxcaninetraining.com, is where you can find me.
Awesome. And just where are you located again? Just so everyone
Oil Springs, Ontario.
Perfect. And you do offer virtual
I do.
sessions and programs as well, correct?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. So if you're not in Oil Springs, you can still get a hold of Lindsay and see how she can help you.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We'll definitely have to do this again. And thanks for making the trek. It was fun.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. And see you next time.